Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
And thanks for joining us for another edition of the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, and in a moment we'll be joined by Oshkosh City Manager Mark Roloff. In the first half of today's show, we'll have some municipal news updates, including items from city departments and things happening in Oshkosh. In the second half, we'll highlight some items from the upcoming Tuesday, March 8th, Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. And with that, we bring in our City Manager, Mark Roloff. Mark, thanks for being here today.
Great to be here, Andy.
All right. Well, we have a lot of different things to touch on today. Kind of a positive thing that happened recently is that one of our public safety staff received some recognition, and this was some pretty prestigious recognition.
It sure was. Our fire department, our battalion chief, Tim Hyman, was awarded the 2022 Fire Instructor of the Year Award from the Wisconsin Society of Emergency Services Instructors. So Tim is in charge of our entire training program, and from all the trainers throughout the state, he was recognized as someone who really stood out in terms of his commitment to training. And I know our fire department is incredibly trained, and under Tim's leadership, he's actually been with our department for 15 years, and his 5th year as division chief. So he's so committed to training and making sure our folks are safe, as well as ready to respond appropriately for all of our different incidents that may come up. And health and safety is primary to Tim in his duties, and that's what he was recognized for that dedication and commitment to improving health and safety.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in public safety, including all of this training and everything. So
yeah, all of this training means everything, because we don't have a lot of fires, but when we do, we want to make sure that, of course, the fire is put out, but it's done safely. And Tim recognizes that you need both of those things to be successful, and we have a great track record of it. It's due to commitment from people like Tim, as well as our whole department that buys into it. They buy the message that Tim sends, that safety is not just something to be taken for granted.
Excellent. Well, and then over at the Oshkosh Senior Center, they recently had an open house, and I understand it was very successful. They had quite a few people come through.
We had nearly 100 people attend, and I had an opportunity to go over there myself and really saw a lot of great things. But what was really so encouraging was that 46 of those nearly 100 people were brand new, first visit to the senior center. So that was great, and they've gotten involved. And the biggest thing that was pointed out was what's called the Fox Fitness Center. That was the focus of the open house. And the center is a home to a state-of-the-art fitness center geared specifically towards older adults. And we know from research and our own surveying that a place for just seniors makes them feel more comfortable, more likely to return for future visits and stay committed to this, rather than being a mixture of ages. And it's certainly understandable. But a couple of things we did, we encourage people to come back. You can sign up for a one-on-one equipment orientation so that you learn how to use all the different pieces of equipment, and you can just see whether it's recumbent bikes or treadmills or bikes or any of those things. We have so many different options for people to choose from. And if you want, for a small fee, you can get set up with a personal trainer to specifically work on your individual needs. And all you got to do is give the Senior Center a call, and they will be happy to set you up with either the orientation, or if you want the training, or just how to learn how to use our different pieces of equipment. But it's a great addition. That's the Senior Center North building. It's almost exclusively dedicated to health and wellness, and that's super important for our seniors.
Yeah, and Alec is the person that would set up some of those personal training sessions. Great guy to work with, and I think the fitness has especially become a new emphasis for folks over at the Senior Center.
Yeah,
so.
it's keeping people active and independent as long as they can, and health and wellness is a huge part of that.
Right, right. Okay. Well, another thing, another topic that we have, and this is getting into our traffic season here, road construction. So High Avenue will be closed for approximately 3 weeks, and this begins on March 14th.
Yeah, this is the initial part of the Algoma Boulevard reconstruction. So there's actually some things that need to get down to the river from a stormwater standpoint. So the first step in the process is to start working down and then working our way back up. So High Avenue is going to need to be closed. So this shows you where it's going to be closed. High Avenue is going to be closed between New York Avenue on the north side and Osceola, which is right on the campus on the south side. So for a very short period of time, both Algoma and High Avenue will be two-way traffic to get people to their destinations. So you'll see that happening. There's going to be closures at the intersection of High Avenue and Vine Street and High Avenue between Rockwell and Osceola. So that'll likely be moving. So we want people to be ready to be prepared to access the parking lots at the university. And that's why we have to make High Avenue two ways, because you got to get there. But this is all part of our Algoma Boulevard reconstruction. So this is our first story on this, and I have a feeling we're going to be talking a lot about this throughout the summer, because there's going to be a lot of moving parts with this project. It's obviously a major corridor for the university, but also for people throughout the community. So stay tuned and listen, and of course we're going to have things on our city website as well.
Right, yeah, people can look on the Hot Topics section. There'll be some more information posted there with some of these maps and so forth. Folks especially will need to be cognizant that there's temporarily two-way traffic here. And so especially college students will have to remember to look both ways on the street when they cross. So it's going to be a little bit of a change. But
yeah, and you can sign up just like we have for all of our other construction projects to sign up for email updates on construction. We have a subscription service, and we'll be providing more information as the project gets a little more in depth. So yeah, be very aware and very responsive to what's going on, because things will change throughout the whole summer.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on it. All right, speaking of road construction, we're also applying for some funding from the state and federal level for some upcoming projects that we have, and it looks like these projects would be funded substantially by state and federal dollars.
Yeah, there's always acronyms going out there. This time it's the BIL, but it's the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and this is money that comes to local units of government. It initially starts at the federal government, but it goes down to the state. So the State Department of Transportation is soliciting projects that have design work done already.
Okay.
So we are scrambling to get some streets designed that meet certain criteria, and some of the criteria is it doesn't involve anything of a utility nature, because utilities are just make it a lot more complicated. So we've identified 4 different sections within the city, and we're going to have a couple more engineering projects approved at Tuesday's council meeting, and a couple that have already been approved by the council. So 2 sections of Washburn Street, I wanted to clarify what those are. So this is the one on the northern side. It's from Dickinson Avenue down to 20th Avenue. And we're just looking at repaving this if we can get the grant. We're hearing good things, that our chances of getting these grants are very high. So, and it's, like you said, it's 80% funding. So we can get this done for 20 cents on the dollar. That's a really good thing if we get the design done. So this is the first one. The second one is on Washburn from Waukau Avenue down to, just south of the Outlet Mall, down to Plainview Drive. So the idea is, again, that's an area that just needs pavement, doesn't need utility work at this point. Nothing else, nothing fancy, just pavement. So we've got this one. The third one's on Osborne Avenue, and this is pretty much in front of the quarry. It's not the last 2,000 feet from Keller going east, but from Knapp Street west to that spot just near the quarry entrance. Again, just paving, and we'll get that one done. And then the last one that we're going to be proposing is South Keller, and this is from West 7th, and this is when I'm going to be talking to locals. From the Red Robin up to Old National Bank.
Okay.
And it's pretty much that area there. And that has, if you've noticed, it's a pretty bumpy spot, some pavements just showing its age. So these are ones that don't require any utility work, so it's more straightforward, much easier to design in the short run, and hopefully we get some funding for that and extend the life of these roads and just make things a lot easier in the community. This is addressing infrastructure, which we all know is something that's important for us to do.
Well, it's great to address the infrastructure and especially to be able to be more cost effective with it in this way. So we'll keep tabs on it and monitor as it progresses. Okay, speaking of funding, there are some community development block grant funds that are available, and there's an application window that is opening up. And now this is for public service projects.
Yeah, and let me define what public service means in this case, because it's a lot of federal lingo. The Community Development Block Grant Program is a federal program that's been in existence for nearly 50 years now. And it's geared towards helping low and moderate income residents. So public service in this case means agencies that provide services to people who may be low and moderate income. What they apply for must be used for low and moderate income. And there has to be a benefit to low and moderate income residents of Oshkosh.
Okay, city limits.
Within the city limits, but usually it's nonprofit entities that provide these services. So a lot of the nonprofits are aware of this, some aren't. So the application deadline is Monday, March 28th at the end of the day, 4:30 p.m. And then we have a group of people that review these applications and then allocate this. It's about 15% of our entire community development block grant allocation. So it's probably about $120,000 or so, $120,000 for this coming year. So you can check our city's website. It is in our hot topic section for an application and for more information.
Okay. Well, take advantage of those funds for sure. We wanted to also pass along to viewers that we have the State of the City coming up, and there's a new date for State of the City. It'll be on Monday, March 28th at 6 p.m. on Oshkosh Media, various platforms. It'll premiere on our YouTube channel, the Oshkosh Media YouTube channel at 6 p.m. on that day.
And we're real excited. You know, it's another virtual year that we made a decision on that a while back. But we're going to be highlighting what to look ahead for Oshkosh for the coming year. Award presentations to community partners who have done great things for us, and so much more. But giving you a little preview of things that are going on in the city, what some of the priorities, how we're implementing our strategic plan, things like that. So we did get a lot of citizen comments. We were seeking them out. We got some great input about things that we're doing well and things that we could maybe improve on. So that's okay. It's hearing from the residents and responding to that praise and criticism so that we can improve services for the city.
Right. It's that interaction that we've been able to achieve with getting all that input, and so I think that's kind of neat. And then also being able to have some kind of different features this year. We'll just leave it at that, but it'll be an interesting program this year.
Yeah, we don't want to give it all away.
Exactly.
Just tune in on March 28th at 6 p.m.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right. As far as COVID-19, I know that there have been a lot of changes recently, and one of them is that we no longer are requiring masks of visitors to city buildings. That's correct.
The numbers are improving and the trend is going in the right direction. Technically, we're still in the high category, I believe, so it's still a concern within the community, but it's improving that we can lift some of the measures that we've been taking. And we're going to continue to monitor it because we want to make sure that that we are responsive should circumstances change. But things are going in the right direction, and I think we're all happy about that. I know I am. But meanwhile, we still want to encourage people to, if you haven't been vaccinated, please get vaccinated. That is the most effective way for us to get out of this completely. So WCvaccine.org is the Winnebago County website for information on vaccines, and we'll still give free transportation to a vaccination appointment on Go Transit. So just let them know you're heading to one of the destinations for a vaccine, and we'll give you a free ride.
Okay. Well, very good. Mark, I think that's about the time that we have for the first half of the program today. And if you stay with us, we'll have some highlights for the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda. But as we go to break today, we'll take a look at the Oregon-Jackson Street Bridge, illuminated in the colors of the Ukrainian flag to show support from the city of Oshkosh. We'll be right back.
Falling is the leading cause of injuries and death among adults 65 and older, and roughly 20% of Oshkosh EMS calls are related to falls. Hi, I'm John Holland from the Oshkosh Fire Department. One of the leading causes of falling incidents in the home is from throw rugs. Now, you can trade that rug for a mug and enjoy a free beverage from a participating location. Bring your throw rug 4 by 6 feet or smaller to one of the following locations to trade it for an insulated mug that will be filled one time for free. Locations include Carmel Crisp Corner, New Moon Cafe, the Oshkosh Senior Center, Laura's Cafe, and both Planet Perk coffee houses. Only one mug per person, and you may turn in as many rugs as you want that are 4 by 6 feet or smaller. It's simple. Make your home safer and enjoy a mug of coffee. Thanks to the Ladies Benevolent Society and 4Imprint for making this program possible.
And welcome back to the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig along with City Manager Mark Roloff. Let's turn our attention to the agenda items from the upcoming March 8th Oshkosh Common Council meeting. So, Mark, there are several things at the very beginning of the meeting. It looks like we have a kind of a fun thing at the very beginning where you have Magic, the police therapy dog, coming.
Yeah, Magic is a professionally trained 2-year-old female golden retriever that provides emotional support to members of our community and our police officers. She'll be working with our behavioral health officer, Scott Zapata, who since October 2021 has been responding to behavioral health related calls, highly sensitive and emotional calls for service, as well as being used to support employees of the Oshkosh Police Department after crucial incidents. The idea is to help provide some comfort, and I know that Officer Zapata, in some instances with some of these highly sensitive emotional calls, the Magic truly does work magic to help de-escalate a situation, which is what it's all about. And I can tell you that, she is a sweetie, Andy. She is just so friendly.
She looks great.
And is so calm and everything. So I can see how she can just offer that just added comfort during some very tense times. And Officer Zapata has gotten a lot of training, not just Magic herself, but Officer Zapata has. So they're a great team. They've already de-escalated a number of situations, and we think it's a great step forward in addressing behavioral health in our community.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Kind of neat to see Magic on screen there, and it'll be kind of neat to actually have Magic visiting the council meeting. So
yeah, when that vest is on, Magic just it becomes a professional.
Right.
You take it off as a regular dog, and it's not like your normal canine where it's trained to do
sniff things out,
and and protect and be a little more aggressive.
Right.
Golden Retrievers and the training Magic's received they're chill, and so they really do help our officers in some very sticky situations, and then for them as well, because law enforcement is a very stressful endeavor, and our folks see some things that you and I don't see, and frankly, I'm happy I don't have to see those things. The dog helps in those situations as well. So we're so glad to have Magic on our staff and providing help to our community as well as our officers.
Innovative program.
Oh, absolutely.
That's very neat. Okay. Well, and then also we have another item. Our Assistant Parks Director received a prestigious award and that's Chad Dahlman. And so we're giving some recognition to Chad at the meeting.
Chad Dahlman is our Assistant Parks Director, and he received the Professional Award of Merit from the Wisconsin Parks and Recreation Association. That is, it's WPRA for short, that is WPRA's highest professional award given to individuals that have demonstrated exemplary service with the association and the leisure services profession. Chad was just given this award, or presented this award, at the Wisconsin Parks and Recreation Association annual conference on February 23rd. So he just recently got it. And
okay.
Chad's been a part of our department for 12 years now, and he has been very active in the association, but it's recognizing his contributions to that association as well as all his accomplishments here in Oshkosh. So congratulations to Chad for all his work.
Yeah, most definitely congratulations to Chad. That's great news, well deserved. And then we also have a presentation, and this relates to this housing study that there have been several public listening sessions and public input about the housing study. And so there's a presentation to council, and I believe it's about that same report, or that same study.
Yeah, it's a culmination of a significant amount of time we put forward for a housing needs assessment and a strategy. So it's saying where we are in terms of housing and where we need to improve. A couple of things that we've been leaking out in advance is that we have a need for very high level housing from a cost standpoint, and also very low housing. We talk about low income housing, but there's also something known as very low and extremely low. And we're a little light on that, but we're also light on the higher end housing for people making over $75,000 a year. So it's identifying ways that we can encourage housing on many different levels, and recognizing that that's going to take an improvement in our existing housing stock, because that's where new homeowners and people that are of or lower income, they need a quality housing, but it usually ends up being a little older. How do you improve existing housing stock and still make it affordable? So a lot of things are going to get discussed by the council and the consultant, and then later on, council will begin taking some actions to begin implementing some of the recommendations from this study.
Okay, it's very expensive to build a house right now, and there's so many different aspects of this, so it's an important discussion. Okay, then we look on the consent portion of the agenda, and there's an item relating to, I believe it's phosphorus control over at the wastewater treatment plant.
This has been an ongoing issue, not just here in Oshkosh, but throughout the country. And locally, at the state level, the Department of Natural Resources has put some requirements and mandates on the city, and we ultimately settled with them to try to avoid some what we felt were excessive costs. But this is the first step in that process to begin doing some what's called tertiary, third level treatment that we can do to address phosphorus in our community coming through our sewage treatment plant. I would say that we are not a generator of phosphorus, but we are a receiver of phosphorus, because phosphorus gets in the Fox River, and they want local treatment plants to take care of it, even though we're not generating it. So we're kind of put in a real awkward position. So we have to do extra treatment for our sewage to make up for treatment for phosphorus that comes downstream from the agricultural areas.
I see.
We're probably going to spend about $20 million on this when all is said and done. This is close to $500,000 for us to do preliminary design work, as well as we've got some other facility improvements that we need to make at our sewer treatment plant that you see here. So it's multiple phases with this $500,000, but eventually we're going to be spending about $20 million over the next decade.
Okay, all right. And then also under the consent agenda, we have an item, this is a little unusual, it's rejecting a bid. So if you can tell me a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, it's for the William Waters Plaza Gazebo construction, and it's a wonderful project. We absolutely want to get it done. But because of costs of construction right now, it's a little higher than we anticipated. And so we need to reject the bids because it's just too high. I don't think we're going to get a much lesser bid. We might tweak it a little bit, but it'll give us an opportunity to maybe seek out some funds from our philanthropic community and see if we can get more donors to step up. But this is eventually what it's going to look like, just that little corner over there at Washington and State Street. So we're happy to wait for it, but we got to be patient and hopefully bid better next time. But I think we're going to need to raise a little more money.
Okay, building is expensive right now for sure. All right, under new ordinances, we have an item, and this is one of the steps in the process, as I understand it, in the development of the Sawdust District project.
Yeah, I would say this is the first step in the implementation phase.
Okay.
The Redevelopment Authority and now the Plan Commission has reviewed plans from T-Wall Enterprises, that's a group out of Middleton, to redo that area on the north side of the Sawdust District. So this is a general rendering of what it's going to look like. But the first step in the process is to do some rezoning. So this will be changed to what's called Riverfront Mixed Use, which we specifically put in for the river, obviously, with a planned unit development overlay. And the whole idea is that we will have some discretion to work with the developer to make some accommodations and negotiate things that they'll do some things, and if we can give up on some things. So it's a trade-off type of thing. You're going to hear a lot more about this. This is really just the zoning part of it. So stay tuned, and we'll have more information.
Okay, a big project. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. All right, under new resolutions, we have an item. We've been talking quite a bit about the Clearwells project over at the water treatment plant or the water filtration plant, I should say. So we're looking at another option here to extend the life of the Clearwells.
One of the options that the Department of Natural Resources is willing to keep open for the time being is to perhaps extend the life of our clear well from another 20 to 40 years. But they've got some very high standards to do that. And it involves the physical inspection of the both tanks, or at least two of the three tanks,
okay.
As well as some mitigation. How can we protect the walls if there's some contamination from the outside that could leak in if it was cracked? If there's any cracks, all bets are off, but the idea is if we can do some mitigation, we can protect it. In the short run, they'll allow us to do it, perhaps. They also have to make sure that the condition of the surrounding groundwater that surrounds these tanks is also okay, because the water that goes into the clear well has been cleaned and gone through the process. They don't want to get it contaminated with groundwater that might have some problems with it, some contaminants that could compromise the water. So
sure.
They've got to make sure the groundwater around the clear wells is okay and that the condition of the tanks are okay. If that's the case, they might let us do that extension. Otherwise, we're going to need to go back to a 60 to 100-year-old solution. Our tanks are 60 to 100 years old already. We need to replace them eventually, and that'll be the next step in the process. So, but we got to spend about $140,000 to see if we can even qualify for this type of consideration.
Okay, all right. Well, it's another item that we will certainly keep an eye on. All right, toward the end of the meeting, we have a few items looking at previewing some upcoming meetings. We have a workshop regarding the Jackson-Oregon Street Bridge.
Yeah, this is a bridge that is due to be replaced. So there are various options that the Department of Transportation at the state want to present to the council. So the workshop is going to be March 22nd at 5 p.m. just before the next council meeting. So stay tuned for that. And then later on, they're going to have a virtual public input session on April 4th to talk to the residents and get their input on it. But there's a few different options. One is a full span bridge. One is replace with the drawbridge with another drawbridge. And then one is some minor rehabilitation. So they're going to talk about the pros and cons of each and seek input from the council, then the public, and then it goes back to council for a final recommendation.
And again, April 4th is that virtual public input meeting, so we'll advise of that as well. So, well, I think that's about all the time that we have today, Mark. Thanks again for being here.
Always a pleasure, Andy.
All right. Well, and thank you for joining us today. Again, that Oshkosh Common Council meeting is coming up at 6 p.m. this Tuesday, March 8th at City Hall. You can watch it live on GovTV, which is Spectrum Channel 10, UVerse Channel 99, and streaming on YouTube and OshkoshMedia.org. Or you can listen to it on the radio, Oshkosh FM 101.9, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for phones and tablets. You can use your favorite streaming device, including Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV. Just search for the Oshkosh Media app. And please join us again in 2 weeks for another City Managers Report. Thanks for watching.